Hello, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Darren Hyman. Today, we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough and New York City. Coming up, as the nation approaches its 250th anniversary, we'll take a look at new research uncovering how America's earliest roots may still be shaping the way we think, vote, and connect today. Then, a new AI tool is helping teachers across the city better understand student engagement while strengthening classroom connections. We'll tell you how this program is making a difference. Next, as the FIFA World Cup is taking place, officials are using this global moment to raise awareness about the hidden risk of human trafficking, especially during large international events. We'll take a closer look at what safety means on a global stage. And then lastly, experts are warning World Cup fans about scammers that are targeting tickets. We'll break down what to watch out for and how to avoid becoming a victim before you make that purchase. Stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone, and welcome to Open. I am Darren Hyman. You're watching the show that brings the Bronx and New York City straight to you. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at Bronxnet TV. Some things have been going on throughout the past week. We'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. In local news, the Acacia Network hosted its annual Julio Martinez Memorial Fund Breakfast at the New York Botanical Garden, bringing the community together in support of local seniors. This year's event benefited the Institute for the Puerto Rican and Hispanic Elderly, highlighting its ongoing work serving older adults across New York City. Our Bronxnet reporter, Brandi Bynum, has a story.
The Acacia Network hosted its annual Julio Martinez Fund Breakfast at the Botanical Garden, where community members gathered for a moment of connection and fundraising for one of the organization's numerous programs or neighboring causes.
We use this fund to support our community in every possible way. Every year, the money pretty much gets spent. Every year, we raise some more, and we spend that on the people that need it.
This morning's breakfast is raising support for the Institute of the Puerto Rican and Hispanic Elderly, an organization dedicated to helping individuals navigate aging with dignity. Founded in 1978, the organization was created to meet the needs for culturally responsive services and support for diverse senior communities.
As our population grew, the senior centers still stayed the same. And there weren't materials bilingually. There was no bilingual materials. There were no senior centers that were, maybe one or so, that were not sensitive to the communities of color, especially the Spanish-speaking elderly.
Now the organization operates 6 senior centers across the Bronx, Harlem, and Queens, providing daily meals, educational classes, case assistance, and social activities. Beyond essential services, the centers help combat loneliness by fostering community, connection, and active engagement for older adults.
We want to make sure that when the seniors come, they feel at home, they feel that they are part of a community that belongs.
While the breakfast raised funds for critical senior programs, organizers say its message was just as important, honoring the older adults whose contributions continue to shape our communities every day.
They made us what we are.
Reporting for Bronxnet, Brandi Bynum.
And thank you, Brittany. In other news, the city came together to honor a historic moment for the New York Knicks. After a remarkable season filled with unforgettable wins, the team was celebrated with a championship parade and a ceremony at City Hall. Streets were filled with cheering supporters as players, coaches, staff all celebrated for bringing a long-awaited title back to New York 53 years. Our Bronxnet reporter Shatrice McQueen has a story.
The Knicks' historic season comes to a celebratory end at today's parade. Crowds are flooding the streets and energy is electric. Starting at Battery Park earlier today and ending at City Hall, New Yorkers everywhere stand by their team as they receive a key to the city.
We are so excited! Go Knicks!
Woo! For the first time in 53 years, the New York Knicks bring home the NBA championship, becoming the first team in NBA history to win the NBA Cup and championship within the same season.
We're hyped up because New York City is back after so many years. We're emotional, hyped up, we're so happy.
Yeah.
Let's go Knicks!
The world watched as the Knicks chipped away at their opponents, the San Antonio Spurs, during this year's finals. It came to a close on June 13th when the Knicks won in Game 5, 94 points to 90, taking the title 4-1. The winners' ticket tape parade the following Thursday set its own records. An estimated 2 million people came out to watch as the Knicks traveled on floats and by foot to greet and celebrate this victory with fans.
When the Spurs were winning by 2 and Bronson hit that buzzer beater, oh my God, I can't believe him. He just go. What that say? Thank you, Bronson. Y'all heard we outside for you.
Past Knicks players attended this ceremony, along with other well-known faces from this season. Film director and lifelong Knicks fan Spike Lee sat front row at the function.
New York City, this team has done it. The New York Knicks are NBA champions.
New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani gifted a key to the city to each player on the team, along with Coach Mike Brown, assistant coach and father to MVP player Knicks point guard Jalen Brunson, Rick Brunson, and those who had a hand in bringing the championship home.
Damn, New York, we really did it, man. We really did it. Wouldn't trade this for the world.
Fans, new and old, were ecstatic at the chance to celebrate with their team. Some fans, like Brenda, came from far just to share this moment going down in history.
We drove literally 16 hours straight from Florida. We just moved to Florida from Brooklyn, New York, so we had to come back just to show love.
Bringing the Larry O'Brien Trophy home to New York makes these sports fans feel even more pride for their city.
You feel the unity, a community, the fact that we're all together. New York is united.
On every one of those game nights, people have been outside partying, celebrating together, and it's been beautiful to watch folks come together. I love New York anyway, but I doubly, triply love New York right now.
And has created memories that'll last lifetimes beyond this moment.
This is literally a moment that we all came together for. It's love. It's New York. We're just, one family at the end of the day.
It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a New Yorker, you're celebrating the Knicks, and we up. Knicks in 5, we up.
And I'm sure she wanted to show off.
Let's go Knicks. At City Hall, I'm Shatrice McQueen with Bronxnet.
It took us 53 years, but guess what? We're champions. Thank you, Shatrice. That's all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We'll take you with a quick break, then we're coming back with more Open when we return.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city, and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak, and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
As the United States approached its 250th anniversary, new research takes a deeper look at political polarization and cultural division, examining where those differences may come from and whether they are as new as they seem. The study suggests that regional differences can be traced back to early colonial settlement patterns, alongside a strong shared belief in the founding principles of the Declaration of Independence. Joining us now to discuss these findings is Colin Woodard, who's the director of Nationhood Lab at Salve, Regina University's Pell Center. And Colin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on this conversation as we talk about America's 250th anniversary. One knows that we have been not always the United States of America, but one could definitely argue the divided states of America. You take some research back to the colonial times and the colonial settlement as to part of this division. So for somebody who may not be so familiar, give us just a little bit about the research altogether.
Yeah, I mean, our divides are structural and they go way back to, as you say, the differences between the rival colonial projects that formed on the eastern and southwestern rims of what's now the United States. These were places that were formed at different times. They had different ethnographic and political and religious characteristics, different societal models they were following, and none of them thought that they were going to end up in a continent-spanning federation together. Consider the differences between the Puritans who came and founded New England, right? Here's a group of people who thought they were in a covenanted relationship with God, like the biblical Hebrews, that he had chosen them to do specific things in the world, and that they would be punished or rewarded as a group for how they did. And they were supposed to do them through shared institutions. That's quite a different model than the people who came, also English, also at roughly the same time, to the Chesapeake country. That was a place where the leadership group of the colonies were the second, third, fourth, fifth sons of the aristocratic families of the English countryside. In other words, the sons who weren't going to inherit Downton Abbey back at home. They were coming to the New World to create their own manor estates that they wouldn't otherwise have, and trying to recreate. The original plan was, let's recreate the model of the English countryside, an aristocratic society with lords and peasants, and take it from there. And in between, you have New Netherland, the area around greater New York City, including we're in the Bronx and your listener area, northern part of New Jersey, half of Long Island, the lower counties of the lower Hudson. That's a Dutch settlement zone where the original concept was a corporate colony that was a global trading city-state. Anything goes. We're trying to make money. We're not worried about the big moral questions like the New Englanders, but also that we have this Dutch characteristics of having a great tolerance of diversity, of the freedom of conscience and inquiry, and so on. So it was a very different society from the very beginning. And the traits of these different societies and a half dozen other major regional cultures can still be seen today. And they spread each of these regional cultures across sort of mutually exclusive settlement strips of this continent, forming regional cultures that which, once you know the map at a county level, you can recognize in election results, per capita, gun violence rates, life expectancy, intergenerational mobility, all sorts of things.
Yeah. And when we talk about America, obviously we know that there's a lot of division that goes on, and as you've broken down the way that we, the makeup, I think I want to talk a little bit about your research here, because one of the things that your research points to is that even though there is a lot of division going on, there is some core consensus when it comes to America's founding principles.
Yeah, one of the big things we wanted to know is, knowing that these divides are real and how consequential they are, what holds us together? What's ever held us together? Because clearly something has. We did become a superpower. Our ideas have been exported to people all over the world. How have we done that? Because given our divides today, we need some lessons from the past as to how to hold us together again. And the answer, indeed, from our historical research and polling and interviews with people, is it is indeed the Declaration's vision, right? Our founding statement as a people, our mission statement, was to try to create a society where all humans have an equal right to individual humans to not be tyrannized, to pursue happiness as they understand it, to access the representative self-government that makes it possible. And this was a radical proposition in 1776. We're still not great at doing it 200 years later, but it's something that Americans really do agree on. For instance, we polled at one point, we asked Americans, hey, do you agree with the statement that we are duty-bound as Americans to protect one another's rights to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and so on? And it came back 97-2 in favor. I mean, you don't get 97-2 as an answer from Americans on anything. If you ask Americans, hey, is the earth round or flat? And the Pew Research Center has, it's only 80-10. With 10% undecided. So 97-2 is loaves and fishes territory, and it indicates that subconsciously Americans of all different walks of life and different regional cultures and so on, we're all sort of programmed to think that indeed that's our mission, the American promise. We're supposed to try to create a society where individual humans can all be equally and sustainably free over time. And once we can agree on that goal, then the fact that we disagree on how to get there becomes a little bit less important because we're having a conversation about a shared set of objectives, and that's something that for the past 25 years in this country we've forgotten about. So starting there, I think, is going to be really important to regenerating our curing our divisions and making use of our dynamism instead of using it against ourselves.
And what would you like people to take away from your research? I mean, you do some really great deep dives. What do you want people to take away?
Well, the takeaway is that, every country needs a story, believe it or not, that we as humans need stories to understand belonging. What do we belong to? Who are we? What's a nation? What is the nation's purpose? Who gets to be in the nation or not? Every country needs that. And a federation that's balkanized in these regional cultures like ours, it makes it even more important. Your federation can fall apart if it loses the story that's the glue that holds it together. So having the story is important, and the Declaration stories are a really good one. I mean, we lucked out in that our legacy ideals that hold us together are really good ideals. This is Lincoln at Gettysburg and basically the content of every speech Frederick Douglass ever made, and Martin Luther King Jr. on the Mall. These are rousing ideals. It almost writes itself emotionally to be something powerful and compelling. We just forgot to actually be doing it. So renewing our sense of who we're supposed to be is really important because Americans need to be for something, not just against something, if we're going to have unity and move forward in a productive way as a people.
Talk about moving forward in a productive way. Give me this when it comes to unity, and as we talk about unity and division, what's your message?
What the message that we're a people tasked with creating a society where humans can be maximally and sustainably free, right? Where none of us are to be tyrannized, where we can pursue happiness as we understand it and access the representative self-government that makes it possible, and that anybody who's committed to these ideas is a potential American, and that we are absolutely not a blood and soil nation where certain people and bloodlines are somehow privileged and that makes you an American.
Yeah. And before we go, I want to get the opportunity to tell people where they can find out more about your research and what's coming up next.
For sure. It's at salve.edu. That's SALVE/Pell Center, Pell. And there's a wealth of information on our polls and on regional differences and all sorts of things there to dig into if people are interested.
Yeah. Well, Colin, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Great work, great research, and certainly I pray that more people do the deep dive and find out more about what's going on. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me.
All righty. Now, I want to tell viewers, too, for more information, you can visit the website at the screen below. Encourage you don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Open coming up right after this.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at Bronxnet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
And welcome back. Project Cafe is an AI-powered tool designed to help teachers better understand what's truly working for students in the classroom. In partnership with Teach for America, I should say Teach for America New York, this initiative is helping teachers strengthen engagement and make every lesson count. We're visiting our reconversation with Urban Assembly CEO David Adams, Teach for America New York Executive Director Tia Morris, and Managing Director of Leadership Development, Alex Amaya. So this is an awesome partnership, and really you're talking about AI and being at the forefront and bringing AI to the classroom. First of all, let's talk about just AI in the classroom. Some people shun it, but here it is. You know, there's good reason to have it. And so talk a little bit about the program.
Well, the Project Cafe actually stands for the Classroom Automated Feedback Environment. And so here at the Urban Assembly, we think about solving problems and scaling solutions. And one of the problems that we identified across our 22 schools here in New York City was that teachers deserve more high-quality instructional feedback. But it's too expensive. And so we sat with this problem and thought to ourselves, how do we solve for getting teachers more feedback more frequently, given its cost? And that's where we started to think about AI and partners like Teach for America, who could help us use AI to get teachers the feedback that they deserve so students get the best teachers in front of the classroom when they walk into that classroom every single day.
So you have this partnership with Teach for America. So how did this partnership actually come about?
So Teach for America is a nonprofit that believes that every child should have access to an excellent education. We've been working in New York City for 35 years, placing teachers, and Urban Assembly is one of our partners. Alex is one of our coaches because we help develop our new teachers, and we realized that we needed some tools to help make that work much more efficient and to ensure that our teachers can get the support and development that they need at the frequency that would help them grow most.
Right. So for teachers who receive this AI assistance, how does it help them, particularly in the classroom?
When I was in the class, I was great at asking my students guided questions, leading them to the answer that I wanted them to have, because I wanted to keep the class moving forward. Just because I wanted to get done with my lesson, and I thought that was a measure of my success. That was a pattern that I had to break, and I did not know how to break it until the end of my first year. With this tool, they're able to recognize how many open-ended questions they're asking versus how many closed-ended questions. We can open up those questions and talk about like, oh, these are guided questions, or in this question, you're actually trying to analyze what students are understanding from your lessons. It gives us patterns that we can then talk about and address as an educator and a coach. So it's been very beneficial that way.
And how have you seen the success roll out amongst teachers? Because obviously there's a lot of aversion sometimes to really making that transition, right? I think there's some people who say, listen, you know what, I've done this way, and now we got AI, I don't know, you know, but how's that transition been?
Do you want to speak to that, Alex?
Yeah. I mean, AI is a big term that has a lot of different definitions and ways that we can think about it. And so there is an initial apprehension when talking about this tool and about its rollout within our schools and our partnerships. But Tia has said that we can do work with our partnerships. And I think we've done an exceptional job developing partnerships centered in trust and communication. So when I started talking to my schools about it, it was an open conversation. They were open to the idea because we've had this relationship, we've worked before closely for many years, that I now am bringing a tool that would help our core members, and this is how. And we keep the dialogues open for them to also let us know, yes, we want more of this, or we want to do it this other way. And so that initial partnership of trust is what has allowed us to engage in these open conversations about AI.
I think that really exemplifies our design principles at the Urban Assembly is how do we use AI to support human interactions?
Right.
Alex talked about trust, right? So you have coaches, you have teachers in conversation with each other using a tool to automate the observation process, but not to automate that feedback. So the teacher is not sitting around with the computer screen by herself or himself. They're working with an external person, a coach, who's helping them reflect on what's happening in that classroom. So human-centered, AI-powered.
Yeah. And for yourself, obviously, this is a new initiative, and so to see it being rolled out, what are some of the challenges that we're seeing? Are there any challenges that we're seeing?
Yeah, I think you talked a little bit about it. There are folks who are apprehensive of the use of AI. There are folks who think that we're using AI to judge them, to tell them how well they're teaching. But as Alex talked about, the goal is to help teachers reflect. He gave us a story where he said, I had a pattern. I used a certain kind of questioning, but I didn't have the feedback until about a year to help me break that pattern. Our goal is to elevate these patterns for our teachers and help them think about what they're trying to do, what they're actually doing, and then have some instructional coaching. Other teachers come in and say, let's refine what you're doing in the classroom so students can get what they deserve.
Right. And I think that's where the magic is. The magic is in that this is a tool that allows teaching to be more sustainable and allows coaching to be more sustainable. And so what we're really thinking about is how do we ensure that young people have the educators that they need, and how do we ensure that educators have the tools that they need to maximize their impact?
And so when we talk about students being the beneficiaries of this, and also teachers being the beneficiaries of this, what do you feel are the long-term gains that come out of something like Project Cafe?
Well, I'll speak a little bit about what we hope. We've been doing this about a year, and we're looking at 4 big ideas. One is teacher efficacy, which is, do teachers feel confident that they can do what they need to do in the classroom? The second is teacher effectiveness. Are teachers getting better at their job? The third is student learning. Are students learning faster than they would have if they didn't have the tool? And then the last is how well teachers are actually staying in the classroom, teacher retention. Are teachers in the classroom longer because they're getting some of that feedback that they need to make them feel powerful, to make them feel like this is the job for me, and I can get better over time.
Yeah. And so from here, where do you go?
So one of my bigger campuses in the Bronx, I went out there, bought my educators breakfast, and David's team did a great job giving us context to give them context. And then we just jumped right in. We tried the tool, and then we've been debriefing about it. We've been engaging in the findings together. And as I go back to do my regular visits, we're going to continue using the tool. The hope is to take off the training wheels little by little, for them to feel the confidence and autonomy to be like, you know what, I'm struggling with this lesson. I'm going to record myself really quickly, get some metrics, send them to Alex, and we can have that conversation ahead of time. So we're getting there step by step. So that is where I hope to take my campuses moving forward. But anything else?
And I would say my dream and goal is that every single Teach for America teacher, we have nearly 500 new teachers, would have access to a tool like this that can help them improve their practice faster. Our children are going to enter into a world, a workforce, a career force that's tech and AI driven. I want to ensure that the teachers who are teaching them understand how to leverage AI and tech tools, and that our students have access to them as well.
See, I think you talked about something, because what I was going to say is, you got students who are using AI, right?
Yeah.
We're not saying cheating, we're just saying they're using it, right? They're very familiar with it. And then we know how adults are. We know how we can be resistant to making change, and it's often said one of the biggest places where there's resistance to change is sometimes higher education. And so for students who are really making the jump to this, to have teachers be able to make the jump to this, kind of like levels the playing field, if you will, in terms of education, don't you think?
Well, 100%. we see at Teach for America, we see technology and AI as a lever for equity. We know that in certain communities across the country, across our city, they typically don't have access to some of the same resources that more affluent communities have. We know that this is an opportunity to ensure that our young people can compete, that they're entering the workforce not only aware of the tools, not only consumers, but they are creators. And so it begins with ensuring and equipping our teachers with the skills, the tools, and the experience.
Yeah. And Darren, I'm just living my best life. You asked me what my vision is. I get to work with folks like Tia and Alex. I get to work with Teach for America. I get to help co-create a vision for teaching that's sustainable. And that's the vision that I have for the work moving forward. Every teacher has an opportunity to get the feedback they deserve. Every student has an opportunity to have a great teacher in front of them. Our communities will benefit from that. Our society will benefit from that. And I get to work with these fine people right here.
Yeah. So, Little Birdie told me that Teach for America is celebrating 35 years.
We are.
Yeah. So, what does that mean? Significant milestone.
100%. It's a big deal. I became a core member during the 25-year anniversary. So now getting to live the 35-year anniversary as a staff member, full circle moment for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Teach for America has a 35-year legacy of leadership. I was a core member, which we call our new teachers, right here in Harlem in 1998. So not quite the beginning, but up there.
Right.
And so I've seen us evolve. It's really exciting to see the impact, and I look forward to seeing what we do for 35 more years and beyond here in the city.
And we talked about Teach for America. I want to get Urban Assembly in before we get out of here.
Yeah.
You talk to us a little bit about some of the other stuff that you're doing that really people can be aware of.
Well, we are focusing on solving problems and scaling solutions. So our focus is on social and emotional learning. Our focus is on post-secondary readiness, which is what students do after they leave high school. And our focus is on instructional quality. So on the post-secondary readiness, we have a tool called Counselor GPT. Young people can get labor market statistics, connecting their degrees to those labor market statistics so they don't have to guess. They can be guided into what credential will lead them to economic mobility. We already talked about Project Cafe, and our social emotional learning work is designed so that schools can equip young people to make the best decisions for themselves, solve problems interpersonally, intrapersonally, and support our communities.
All right. Well, it's been great having you. You guys gotta come back and give us an update. And ladies, I should say guys, ladies. But please come back and give us an update. Let us know how things are going.
Thanks for having
us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Great work. And thank you. For more information, you can visit the website at urbanassembly.org and teachforamerica.org/New York. Here, we got more open coming up after the break, so please don't go anywhere. We're coming up right after this.
What's up, creative family? Discover your voice with Bronxnet Community Media classes. Are you ready to bring your ideas to life? At Bronxnet, we offer television production classes for community members ages 18 and over, empowering you to share your vision with the world. Get certified in field production, in-studio production, and our new exciting addition, podcast production. Once certified, you can create your own show to air on one of our 6 TV channels. It all starts with our free Unleash Your Ideas Masterclass, designed to help you plan your show idea and set you up for success on your production journey. This class is offered at the beginning of each month for your convenience. Our dedicated Bronxnet team is here to support, encourage, and uplift you every step of the way. Join us and become a part of the creative force that engages and inspires the Bronx community and beyond. Sign up today and start your media journey with Bronxnet. Visit bronxnet.org/education to learn more and register. Let's create something amazing together.
We're here at Bally's Golf
course, we're here at Yankee Stadium.
You might come to Little Italy for the pasta, but today is all about dessert.
The Bronx is known for its diverse culture and being the birthplace of hip-hop.
A Bronx state of mind with the Bronx native.
It is really important to show people what's happening out there in the world.
We're celebrating by being in the Bronx parade.
Reporting for Bronxnet.
Reporting for Bronxnet.
Reporting for Bronxnet.
And welcome back. As millions of World Cup fans and travelers move through stadiums and cities, human trafficking may be harder to detect. Now, as part of a nationwide public awareness effort, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Blue campaign is working to help educate the public on how to recognize warning signs and respond safely if something seems suspicious. Joining us now to explain what people should know is Brandi Bynum. She's the acting unit chief for the Blue campaign at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. And Brandi, thank you so much for joining us. And, we've got the fever of the World Cup. Many people are just, excited. We look forward to this, annual event. But really, for persons like yourself and others, a lot of concern about human trafficking. And talk to us about how large-scale events like this really can be the, the playground for some when it comes to human trafficking.
Thank you so much for having me. So events like the FIFA World Cup bring together, in this case in the United States, we're hosting 11 cities. 11 cities are hosting the games out of the 16. So we have millions of people that are going to be visiting these cities and surrounding areas. And so what that does to economic value in the city is more people are taking transportation, ride shares, trains, buses. More people are going to restaurants and visiting entertainment venues. More people are staying at hotels. And so they're having fun because it's the World Cup. But what that does for traffickers is it provides them this large landscape of people who are not paying attention to suspicious activity, and they're grooming these folks and playing on those vulnerabilities to get them into trafficking. And so we see that when a lot of people are in one place at one time, especially for something like the World Cup, it just provides a playground for the traffickers.
Yeah. What are some of the warning signs that we should be paying attention to when it comes to potential human trafficking?
So members of the public, as I said, are going to be checking into hotels and going out to eat at restaurants. And so we want them to be on the lookout for people who may not be in possession of their personal documents. So as adults, right, I'm not going to have somebody have my license or my passport when we talk about international visitors. And traffickers take those documents to maintain control over their victims. Physically, it's hot in a lot of parts of the country. Summer is upon us. And so people who may be look disheveled or inappropriately dressed, people who may show various signs of bruising. If I'm in line to cash out somewhere and I see somebody who's looking at somebody else for permission to speak, or they're not holding eye contact, or they may look controlled, all of those could be signs of someone being trafficked.
For those who are out there right now, obviously there is that concern for safety and public safety. When we hear human trafficking, we know it pretty much in one major context. But there are a lot of different ways that human trafficking actually shows up. Can you unpack for us a little bit about how human trafficking shows up in uncommon ways?
I love that question because most people think that it's the white van, somebody's gonna get snatched up and sold. And I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but that is not how traffickers are grooming their victims. We like to call it, I was actually in Budapest earlier this year, and the Europeans call it the lover boy tactic. Over here, we call it Romeo pimps. And that's when traffickers will engage in trusted, seemingly loving relationships with their victim. Because a lot of times people ask, well, why don't people just leave if they're getting if they're, getting abused and making to do these different things? And it's like, a lot of times people don't even know that they're victims because they're in love, they're in entrusted relationships. People get trafficked by their parents, they get trafficked by their employers. Sometimes it's peer-to-peer. And so these traffickers are building trusted relationships and then luring their victims into a commercial sex act or into labor. And it's also not always an exchange of money. It can be anything of value. So when we talk about little kids, right? Kids, teenagers, they want the newest tech, the newest iPad, the newest phone, the newest shoes. And so traffickers will lure little kids and teenagers into the life of trafficking by offering them something that is important to them and saying, hey, I'll give you this if you do that. you send me this picture, then I will give this. And then they send the picture, then they're like, if you don't send me more, I'm going to spread it across your high school. And so that's what trafficking looks like in modern terms, like relationships or false promises of love, jobs that seem too good to be true.
A lot of different ways there. Now, we're having this conversation, and obviously there is an awareness that we're giving to people across the Bronx and the New York City area. In your conversation, when it comes to the issue of human trafficking, how receptive are people to this? Because a lot of people are walking around and just say, hey, I'm here enjoying a soccer match. If you're out there in the UK, I know they say football. If you I'm watching football. However, there are these things that are going on. How mindful are people about this?
I think when we have conversations like these, people's antennas go up, right? I think people have this idea of what human trafficking looks like. And then when you can have a 2 to 3 minute conversation like we're having now, they instantly tune in. There hasn't been any role that I've had with this campaign, and I haven't talked to somebody about the work that I do, that they don't become instantly intrigued about it and ask questions about it. And I just ask that people listen, visit our website, and have a 1 minute conversation with somebody that you know about the crime, because part of awareness is making people more aware that the crime is actually happening. Then we can get into how to properly report.
Yeah. As you're going about to and fro, you talk about hotels, you talk about transportation, you talk about all these major entities that really carry a hub of people on a day-to-day basis. What's been the receptivity of those industries when we're talking about this, and what are they doing on their end to also promote the message?
They have been very receptive to our training. We were actually in you guys' area with our local field office not too long ago to help train law enforcement and industry personnel. We have a really great relationship with the American Hotel and Lodging Association. So there's a lot of hotel brands and chains that are part of that association, where we're able to provide them with free awareness materials and free training. A big part of our program ahead of the FIFA World Games, which we started last September in Monterrey, Mexico, was when we were going out and deploying these week-long trainings where we were talking to local law enforcement, training them on the signs and how to interact with potential victims, talking to industry personnel and non-governmental organizations on those unique indicators that they may see. Because the indicators that someone may see at a hotel is going to be different than somebody that may be going through an airport. It's going to be different than somebody that's at a restaurant. And so we've broken down all of these unique industries that have these front-facing employees to be able to educate them on what they may see, and then working with them in their organization on reporting protocols.
Are we seeing any common trends among the traffickers these days?
An uptick in online exploitation. I think a lot of people think that you have to leave your home and be out and about to get trafficked. And what we saw during COVID, especially, is more people were spending time online because we couldn't go anywhere, right? And so we've seen that a lot of people, especially young people, are getting groomed and lured into online exploitation just by not practicing safe online habits on social media, talking to people that they don't know. You know, I was talking to folks last week about how, you know, people want more followers. And so their profile is open. And you don't know who's on the other side of that screen. For young men and boys, like I have 2 godsons that are 7 and 10, and they spend a lot of time on Roblox. There's a chat function on there. I'm like, hey, do you know who this is? And if you don't, we need to remove them as a friend, because we don't know who's on the other side of that chat box. And what we've seen with gaming is that traffickers will offer little tokens or coins so people can build up their avatars, and then, you know, then they asking for pictures. And so we want to have those conversations with the young people in our life.
Well, Brandi, I mean, you have a global stage right now. Most of America and the world is watching the World Cup. Eyes are tuned in. And I got to ask, you know, the message that you want to send at this heightened moment, talk to us about it.
It's twofold. So one part of the paid media campaign is the awareness. It's like, hey, human trafficking isn't happening. These are the indicators, and this is where, you know, you're supposed to report. And then the other part is the education piece. So we have been on this almost like US, Canada, and Mexico tour for almost the better part of the last year, where we went out ahead of the games, partnered with our local Homeland Security Investigations field offices, and provided free training. Because we knew that, like I mentioned earlier, that the hotels and the transportation systems and all of these public places were going to see an increase in visitors. So we wanted to get ahead of the visitors, go train these folks on what unique indicators that they may see, and then work with them on the proper protocols. So the awareness piece for members of the public to know, hey, human trafficking is happening. It could be happening right now. This is what to look for. This is how you report. And then ahead of the games, what's going on and doing that education piece.
Yeah. Well, certainly I want to thank you for taking the time and being with us today. Much needed information. We got the MetLife Stadium where things are going on right now, and I know the people are to and fro. So, and even we got the Yankees and the Mets, and so Lord knows we've got a lot of places that people are out there right now. And of course, we got to mention our Knicks. So, a lot of people on the streets, but definitely a lot of relevant information. Brandi, thanks so much for sharing with us. Brandi Bynum, who is the acting unit chief of the Blue Campaign at the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
All righty. Well, listen, if you want more information, please go ahead and visit the website at dhs.gov/Blue Campaign. Stick around. We'll be right back right after this.
Only 57% of New York City high school students are college ready by their senior year. "55% of high school graduates either have no plans to attend college or are uncertain that they will ever attend. "34% of young adults don't go to college because they can't afford it. Discover what's possible. Bronxnet's education programs, internships, and opportunities help engage and inspire Bronx youth and beyond to pursue their passions. Be a part of the Bronxnet family. Whether you're interested in our shows, joining a class, or donating to support our mission, visit bronxnet.org to learn more.
We're gonna start the show right now. This is my favorite part. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, this is Angel, and I am one of the instructors for the in-studio production. Here at Bronxnet, we offer classes that can help you elevate, expand, and start your television career. All you have to do is sign up at bronxnet.org/education. For the past 7 years, I have been in various productions, spanning from talk shows, independent films, news reports, art displays, teachings, musical performances, and many more. Ain't that right, Angel? Yeah, you're absolutely right, Angel. There are a lot of creative individuals that we're just waiting to sign up for the class. And if I may, can I also express thank you, Angel. That's all the time we have left. Visit bronxnet.org/education and become a producer by taking the course. The class I offer is also in English, en español y también bilingüe. Nos vemos en la próxima clase.
And welcome back. As the FIFA World Cup is taking place, millions of fans are still securing tickets, booking travel, and planning their experience around one of the world's biggest sporting events. But alongside that entertainment, experts are warning consumers to watch out for scammers. From fake ticket websites to fraudulent resale listings, fans can quickly become targets if they are not careful. Join me now to break down what to watch for and how to make sure your World Cup plans don't turn into a costly mistake is Claire Rosenzweig, who's also the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau serving Metropolitan New York. Claire, thank you so much for being with us.
Sure. Well, my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, we've been talking about World Cup in the last segment and this one here too. Really guard against human trafficking. Now, on another side, you got to be aware of scammers. And with so many people out there, so many ticket purchases, what are some of the more prevalent scams that we're seeing these days?
Well, the one thing, anytime there's any kind of an event or anything happening in someone's life where there's a lot of emotion, scammers are going to be right there, trying to take advantage of that emotion. And when it comes to tickets, tickets are year-round, right? We're always buying tickets for concerts, for airlines, for hotels, for whatever it happens to be, reservations of different types. But for huge events like the World Cup or all of the games that are going on, or Broadway, New York in the summer, right? A lot of people come here. There are those who will take advantage by supplying what you think are real tickets, but they're not. How does that happen? It happens through unsolicited emails, texts, coming to you saying, we have some great deal on the games or whatever it happens to be. Or you see ads on social media. Or some friend, they might have been an imposter of a friend of yours saying, hey, I have a great deal that you have to take advantage of. Whatever it is, bottom line is, it sounds too good to be true, but we like to believe what we like to believe. Right. And so we go, well, maybe there's a sob story associated with why somebody is giving up the tickets for some low price. And you go, maybe that makes sense. So you fall into it, right? And you give the money. But unfortunately, when you get to the venue, they say, oh, I'm sorry, this is not a real ticket. And you have your family around or your friends or whatever it happens to be. And it is so disappointing. It's heartbreaking. But you know what? The scammers didn't care because they walked away with your money and you didn't know it. And it happens to the best of us. Right. I don't care who you are, what age you are, scams can happen to anybody. But there are red flags.
And there's nothing more humiliating than being caught out there by a scammer. How do we know the difference between a fake one and a legitimate one?
The best way to get a ticket, no matter what, is from the venue itself. So whether it's the World Cup, they have a website, they were selling tickets, you could probably still find them. They are expensive. So that's one red flag. If all of a sudden you see, hey, we have tickets going for a really low price, no, that's not happening. Or the same for games or Broadway or whatever. There are legitimate places where you can get, let's say, Broadway tickets on the day of for less, but those are reliable, reputable places. So that's number 2, is buy from the venue if you can, or if you're going to go through ticket brokers, are they a member of the National Association of Ticket Brokers? Are there guarantees? What you don't want to do is buy from someone you've never heard of before.
Right.
Because chances are those tickets will not be real. The other thing that you can do is, if you're working this online, you can take a look and see when was the domain registered. If you don't see the owner, for instance, or when it, or if it's a new site, those are huge red flags. If it's a place that's given you, an address, some ticket broker who says it's an address, go onto Street View. Is there a company there? So the main thing is buy from the venue. That's going to be your best bet. And use a credit card because that has the most protection.
You talked about a retail ticket broker association, right? Where do people find out that information? Who's connected there?
Well, anybody can go to bbb.org. That's the main site for the Better Business Bureau, which has an incredible amount of information. And there are topics, including things like how to buy tickets. There are various resources there. But if somebody just wants to look up the National Association of Ticket Brokers, they can go online, search it, and they would find it. They have lists of members. Now, doesn't mean that any of these ticket brokers might be perfect, but you want to read terms and conditions when you buy tickets, especially from ticket brokers. What is the refund policy? What's the exchange policy? What happens if there's a natural disaster or something happens, somebody gets sick? So it could be something happens on your side. It could be something that happens on their side. What if there's a, fire or something? You want to know the what ifs.
Right.
So when you buy the ticket, you're going in with eyes wide open.
So I make sure that I save my money and my money doesn't get taken and scammed from me. What are the best ways that I should go about when it comes to the issue of payment? Because payment is where I think a lot of people also get caught out there.
Yeah. It's always best to use a credit card, in our opinion, because that has the most legal protections. If you use peer-to-peer or don't wire money, please, because that's just like handing over your cash to somebody. Credit cards have the most legal protection, and that's the way to go.
Yeah. As you look around right now, what are the most prevalent scams that we see people falling for?
When it comes to buying tickets for any type of event or venue, what we see is unsolicited emails or texts coming into you saying we have great deals on whatever the function happens to be. You see ads on social media, which just look great. But if you've done your homework and you know what tickets are going for that particular event or show or whatever it happens to be, you'll know that this is way under market, and that's a huge red flag. Those are really the cluster of scams that we see. People pretending to be someone that they're not, pretending to be a ticket broker, pretending to have tickets, some people pretending to be your friends. They might have hacked somebody's account.
And I think we talked a little bit about payment methods, right? Because that's the biggest problem. People use payment methods that really people can't recover from.
Yeah. I mean, when there's a big event like the World Cup or any of these big games going on, scammers are just right there trying to get you. So if you pay for anything, use a credit card. That's our suggestion, because that has the most legal protections. If you use peer-to-peer platforms, that money is just being handed over to someone. If you wire money, that's just being handed over to someone. Some people might even suggest that you buy gift cards to pay them. No, you don't do that. Use a credit card. That has the most protection.
If I've been scammed, what's the next step? Because that's the, I think that's the part. People stand there, they're like, oh my God, I've been scammed. What do I do? What is my recourse?
Yeah. I mean, if you're afraid that you've been victimized by a scam, there's a couple of things to do right away. Number one is to call the financial institutions, because there's two things that have happened here. You could have been scammed for money and personal information, which could lead to identity theft. So if you have any qualms about this, what you do is call the financial institutions and let them know that this happened, so you can put a freeze on your credit, and you can go to the credit bureaus to take care of that. It's always a good idea, by the way, to have a credit freeze on your accounts, because that way nobody can open up accounts on your behalf without you knowing it. So that's just a sidebar. But definitely call the financial institutions, call your credit card company, let them know something has happened, and ask for a chargeback. You can go to ic3.gov, which is a government site that deals in online problems like this, online scams. You can go to identitytheft.gov. That is a government guide which leads you step by step through the process of reclaiming your identity. It's a great guide. So any of those things, and certainly go to bbb.org, Scam Tracker. So it's bbb.org/scam tracker, which I would recommend people go to anyway to see what people have been reporting as scams. Scam Tracker, you can literally put in a keyword like ticket scams, and you will see what's been coming up in your own neighborhood. So you can see what other people have experienced, if they've lost any money. It just gives you more information. So if you come across one of these red flags, you go, I know what that is, and I'm not falling for it.
Claire Rosenzweig, thank you so much for being with us here.
My pleasure.
She is the Director, President, and CEO of the Better Business Bureau serving Metropolitan New York. For more information, visit the website at bbb.org. Well, we come to the end of our show today. I want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and most of all, you, the viewer, for tuning in. And if you missed any part of today's show, you can catch the recablecast right here on Optimum's Channel 67, Verizon Files Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at bronxnet.org. You'd also catch a brand new episode of Open on Friday with my girl, Rita Valentine. That wraps up this episode for us. I am Darren Jaime saying make sure to keep this channel wide open. We say take care and God bless.